Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Jake and this time around I'm ranking the games from the Sunsoft Collection Volume 1. When this cart was announced I didn't have particularly high expectations. I'd only played one of the games prior and I'd played a sequel to one of the others. And I didn't have a high opinion of the game that I had played. I'd heard other games were better. However, without the nostalgia and any real interest in them, this cart was one that I could have passed on. Fortunately I didn't, but we'll get into that. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get on to the ranking itself. Obviously, as always, starting with the worst. This is a conversion of an arcade game which upon original release for the NES, it was called Super Arabian. Blaze clearly didn't think it was super enough and dropped the super from the title. And that's appropriate. It's a single screen platform where you run around collecting letters to spell out words for extra points, and you do this, rinse and repeat. There are 4 levels. Yep, only 4 levels, although you do repeat them with different words and it gets a bit tougher and things, and you get the gist. Usual arcade stuff. Anyway, the first 2 levels can be quite fun. However, when you reach the 3rd and 4th stages, navigating levels becomes so problematic and frustrating due to some dodgy collision detection and a few other annoyances that it completely and utterly sucks the joy out of it. Also, there is the absolutely god-awful music. So yeah, it's a game that disappoints. There could have been something fun here. I don't know how the original arcade game plays, so I don't know how this compares, but this just isn't a lot of fun. Next up we have Aero the Acrobat, a mascot platformer for the Super Nintendo, which was clearly Sunsoft's answer to Mario and Sonic. Aero is well animated, the graphics are pretty decent, although you might not like the design of Aero himself. Some certainly don't. The music's fine, the sound effects are pretty good. Aero's moveset is interesting, but sometimes a bit cumbersome. Actually attacking enemies isn't always the easiest thing. And then the level design works against this, especially in the early levels. You don't just go from A to B to reach the end, you have to go and complete objectives. You spend a large amount of time just searching around and it gets very tedious. Back in the day, I'd got bored of the game before I'd even finished the first world, and that was enough for me. I didn't want to play anymore. However, having gotten past that on Evercade thanks to save states and pushing myself to do it, I found a fairly enjoyable platformer afterwards, but it is a very challenging one, and even if I had gotten past the early stages back in the day, I think I would have become frustrated later on. I doubt I would have finished it. It's not a bad platformer, but there is definite barriers to enjoyment. Next up we have Blaster Master Boy for the Game Boy. It's a Blaster Master spin-off, but also a Bomberman spin-off, depending on where you first played it. In Japan it's released as a Bomberman spin-off, but in Western territories obviously Blaster Master, and it's got similarities to both. It plays a bit like the top-down section from Blaster Master, but also very much plays like a Bomberman in the way you use bombs and explode things, and you can clearly tell that's the origin of the game. As it is, it's a fun single-player game with nice graphics for the Game Boy, some actually good music in true Sunsoft style. I had fun with this one. It's fairly simplistic, but it's an enjoyable game nonetheless. Yeah, I like this one. Next up is Journey to Sidious for the NES. It's a run and gun platformer, and originally it was going to be a Terminator licensed game. Although the name was changed and there was a plot given to it, you can really see the Terminator origins in a lot of the enemies. And that's fine, because if it had been a licensed game it wouldn't have made it onto this cartridge for Evercade and would have been kept in licensing hell for re-releases. So it's a good thing, because this is a fun game. It is very challenging, some of the bosses can be particularly tough. However, it's not unfair. The graphics are nice, the sound is perfectly fine, the music is absolutely fantastic. As seems to be the case with most of these Sunsoft games, particularly the NES ones. Another solid game, which as you can tell, being the 3rd game ranked, bodes well. Next is Mr. Gimmick for the NES, a rather notoriously rare game. It's a charming platform with really nice graphics and fantastic music. It's also rather difficult. The inertia is very slippery and the attack takes a little bit of mastering. However, once you do, it's still quite challenging, but it's also a relatively short game. It's very satisfying to beat, although it can be quite frustrating at times. It's a really good game if you've got the patience to persevere with it. I'm glad I did, hence why it's 2nd on the list. And finally we have my favourite game on the collection, Blaster Master for the NES. This is a non-linear hybrid between 2D platforming and shooting and top-down shooting. I say it's non-linear, I suppose almost a Metroidvania. There's a fair bit of exploration to do, so I recommend reading the manual, otherwise you'll do a lot more than you need to. The upgrades and power-ups keep things interesting throughout. The graphics are nice, and once again the music is fantastic. So once I started playing this, I couldn't stop until I'd beaten it, and it's easily my favourite game on the collection. Back when this cartridge was announced, I wasn't really that sold on it, and when I first played it, again, a number of these games I just thought they seemed okay, but I didn't put much effort in. But once I did, I found a number of really good games, and as you can tell by what I've said in the individual rankings, I've got quite a high opinion of this cartridge. However, there is a bit of a barrier of difficulty on some of these games, so I'd give the cart a 7.5 out of 10, but I do recommend it, especially for people who, like me, might have thought, well, nothing really draws me to it, I'm not sure if I'm that interested. If you get a chance, give it a go, because there are some fantastic games here. Anyway, on that note, I will leave you with a song as I usually do, and I'll see you in the next video.
In his heart, he knew it was right. Battle with the levels with skill and might, facing the plutonium boss in the darkest night. Was a master through the night, in the tank of the VR, ready to fight radioactive mutants lurking below. If the earth tried to make them dead, from the depths of the earth to the stars above, Jason's journey is fueled by courage and love. With each battle won, he grows stronger still. In the world of Master Master, he fights with will. He fights with will. Blaster Master through the night, in the tank of the VR, ready to fight radioactive mutants lurking below. If the earth tried to make them dead, for the tank on the ground, shining so bright, with courage in his heart, he knew it was right. Battling through levels with skill and might, facing the plutonium boss in the darkest night. He fights with will.